Hi, I'm Leonie West from Westalee Design. I'm going to show you how to use our mini Spin-E-Fex number 5. Our mini Spin-E-Fex is a template which has two sizes, 1.5 inch, 2.5 inches. The measurement is the finished design when it's been stitched out using one of these and one going the other way. So if you were to draw a circle around it, this would be 2.5 inches and this is 1.5 inches. I've just sewn up a square on point and I'm going to mark crosshair reference lines. I've got an 8-point crosshair reference line here. If you haven't used our crosshair rulers, we have the block size marked on the tool, so I'm lining up the 3 all the way around on that block, and I'm just going to put my marking device in the slots. I'm going to just move down across. We've got 8 reference lines and they've all now been drawn. We're going to take our little Spin-E-Fex number 5. I'll sew the 2.5 inch one by bringing my tails up. My template is in place. We have a reference line across here and a reference line that goes through the center. I'm going to line those 2 reference lines up to give me the correct position for this template to be in. We're going to sew around following the reference lines that we've marked and lining up those reference lines. This template is great because we get 2 different shapes. So if we sew from this as our center point, we get one shape, and if we sew from this as our reference point, we will get a different shape. So I'll sew this first one this way. I'll just do the 8 rotations, and then in the next block I'll show sewing it using the opposite side. So each time we turn, we just line up our reference lines. These little templates are great for when we're wanting to fill in small spaces. In our mini crosshair rulers, we have a 6-point, 8-point and 5-point. And the 6-point crosshair ruler we developed because we have a lot of times where we're working in hexagons. And hexagons are a 6-point base, and they look much nicer if we sew our hexagons patterns inside our hexagons using that 6-point reference than if we used an 8-point reference. The 6 points works on 30-60 degree angles, which is what our hexagons work on. And we'll just turn to the next one. These are really fun, quick to use, and you're only moving a small amount of fabric for sewing each one. As long as you can move that little area of 3 or so inches, you can sew these into a big quilt. We're often asked about how to sew and quilt and move the fabric in a large quilt. We can only ever quilt what fits in our hand space, really. So if you hold your thumbs together and have your hands spread like this, this is the area that we can work in, and that's the only area that needs to be moving. We don't have to move the whole quilt at once. And when we're working on little tiny designs like these, it's really not a huge area that we have to move to be able to quilt in and fill those spaces. This is our last little petal that we're sewing. Back to center, and it's finished. This is our finished Spin-E-Fex number 5 design in the 2.5 inch size using 8 points. I'm going to use Spin-E-Fex number 5 again, 2.5 inch size, but I'm going to use the center line at the top as my reference. So instead of me using it from the other end and getting the shape we sewed before, this will give me a slightly different shape because we're working from the center of the template out. but we're going to do the same 8 rotations, making sure that our reference lines are in place again, and just follow the edge of the template. You can use your Spin-E-Fex to do what I'm doing here, which is using them to create a pattern that you could say is circular in design. And this is how I designed the Spin-E-Fex originally, to give me that circular shape without putting a circle. It's something that can fill in a circle or fill in a square. You can also just use half of it and fill in against a line or fill in corners. You do not have to use all of the rotations as we've shown in some of the other templates. It's up to you to create your own unique designs. You can mix different Spin-E-Fex with each other, so you could be using a Spin-E-Fex number 1 and 7 together and see what happens. You can also use our circles on quilts template, and you can do circles around these. And I think there's only one more to go. As you can see, they are quick designs to sew. And that one's done. This is our finished Spin-E-Fex. Both are 8 points. One is working from the center of the template in one way, and one is working, I call them points in and points out, but these are both a pointed template. On this one it's shorter, on this one the shorter piece is in the middle. Now going to sew Spin-E-Fex number 5, the 1.5 inch one, and we're going to do it on a 6 point here. So we're just going to follow our 6 point reference lines, starting in the center, lining up here always. And she's a really cute little baby size. I'm just checking that reference line as I go. And we have 2 more to go. I really enjoy playing with these little shapes. And many of us have quilts that we have made where we have those small blocks. Also, if you were working on a quilt which was made up of, I'm trying to think of what it's called, a pattern made with half square triangles and squares and quarter square triangles, you could use these on your quarter square triangles or on your squares, so you can create a secondary pattern with your quilting in those blocks. And that one's done. These are our 6 point 1.5 inch Spin-E-Fex, and one with the narrow point coming to the outside and one with the narrow point going to the inside. Our 2.5 inch done on 8 point with the narrow point coming in and the narrow point coming out.